Welcome, Mauro, to the Microsoft Teams Rooms podcast room at the Ingram Micro booth at Gitex 2024. So I'm really happy to have you here today. Notwithstanding the fact that you're just a wonderful guy, really love to spend time with you and learn what you have to say about the Lenovo products and the technology. But I think you've got something very interesting to show us today, or to at least talk about, if nothing more. There's been an interesting announcement today at the show. So for those that aren't aware, Mauro is the chief technology specialist, guru, consultant, and just all-round phenomenal legend of a man within the Lenovo sphere. And I'm not even exaggerating. So Mauro, just explain to us a little bit about what Lenovo is really showcasing here this week at Gitex.
First of all, thanks a lot for having me here. Today, as you said, it's an important day for Lenovo and specifically for Lenovo Smart Collaboration because we are announcing the ThinkSmart Core second generation. That is a device that we are going to start selling at the beginning of January. And it's of course an announcement of our bestseller, that is the ThinkSmart Core, that is the fully modular system. So in particular, we are talking about the compute module of our Microsoft Teams Room solution, that is this box. This box is a little bit smaller in terms of footprint compared to the previous generation. But what is important is the set of features that we are introducing.
So it's not just a reheat of the previous one with a faster processor or anything like that. This is completely new architecture build from the ground up with a new chassis, something that delivers more than what came before and not just from a performance metric.
Definitely. First of all, it's a modular system also in terms of architecture because you can select either an i5 or i7 processor. Since we are talking about Intel Meteor Lake 14th generation of CPU, the actual name should be the Core Ultra 5 or Ultra 7, simply because Intel have changed.
They have to sort of sync in with the Intel branding,
Yes, exactly. And so you can also select a different amount of memory, it can be 16 or 32 gigabytes. And so the idea behind this modularity is that we are expecting from Microsoft a different set of features based on the underlying capabilities. It's something that we should start seeing coming next year. And so, starting from the entry-level Microsoft Teams Room, that is in our portfolio what we call the Tiny Kit, single display, basic features, but it's for customers that are enjoying the click to join, but without the need to have many intelligent features.
But this is very interesting, actually, because there is a definite gap in the marketplace for something like the Tiny Kit, for example, which brings the customer a little bit further along into that fully featured, fully baked Teams Rooms experience, which is obviously, as everybody knows, a fantastic experience, now reinforced with AI, with Copilot functionality. And I think this is, if I'm not mistaken in saying, actually, this is what the Core Gen 2 features with an NPU, which actually allows for that native AI facility within that.
Yeah, definitely. It's the key word for the ThinkSmart Core Gen 2. Is that since it's using the Meteor Lake processor, it's the first compute for a Microsoft Teams Room that is including an NPU. An NPU is a dedicated chipset optimized to run AI models, but in a power-efficient way, because the same AI models could be run today on the GPU, but with the GPUs, you are consuming a lot of power. So that is a critical issue in a laptop because you do not have to consume the battery, but also in a meeting room. So when we are talking about a device that is up and running 24/7, power consumption is really critical. And that's the reason why we are introducing an NPU, so that in the future, in the near future, all the AI models that either Microsoft or Lenovo itself are going to introduce can run in a power-efficient way. What kind of applications? We don't know. Let's say for sure the request for an NPU is coming from Microsoft. Microsoft is asking all the OEMs, and Lenovo is simply the first one to introduce this announcement, to have an AI accelerator, so basically an NPU. And that means that Microsoft has a plan to make use of that NPU. Microsoft has not disclosed yet what would be the application making use of the NPU. There are some rumors, some guesses. Somebody is talking, for example, about a deep dive into, let's say, for example, the HDMI that at the moment is generating an alarm only if the computer is not capable of recognizing the display, because either the cable has been disconnected or there is a software issue. But the idea is that with these kind of AI models, we could have a look at what is inside the signal of the HDMI. For example, there is a problem with the scale of the image. So some AI models could see that there is a problem and then generate an alarms to the administrator so that can perform a remote restart or changing the configuration remotely, these kind of things. It's a guess, of course, but Microsoft is asking the OEMs to provide 4 TOPS on the NPU. The NPU.
Just very briefly, for those people that aren't really up to speed with what that means, would you like to just explain what TOPS are?
TOPS are trillions of operation per second. Is the typical measure of a GPU or NPU capacity.
And that's pretty significant, right? Because we're not talking a small amount of processors, we're talking trillions here, which is an expectation, a benchmark that Microsoft set for any AI application using native NPUs.
Yeah. For example, in the world of AI PCs, where Lenovo is, of course, one of the main leaders, the requirement is to have at least 40 TOPS. And that's because the intention by Microsoft is to be able to run LLM models like Copilot locally. Here, with the request of just 4 TOPS, of course, we are not talking about running Copilot locally, but to run other models, maybe on the Lenovo side to optimize the image of the camera and this kind of things. We need a lower capacity, but run properly on an NPU. The Meteor Lake NPU is capable of running up to more or less 10 TOPS. So if Microsoft is asking for 4, it means that there is a left capacity to allow Lenovo or third parties to develop applications, AI applications that can make use of that capacity. So we are opening a new era where AI can run locally. Running locally means that the AI model is more reactive because there is no latency to reach the cloud. Power efficiency, because in any case it's the interest of Microsoft or any UC provider to offload the cloud and have AI run locally in a power efficient way.
You know, these days people are looking at power consumption a lot more actively than they ever did.
Yeah, and also privacy is another, because if the AI model is handling sensitive data, of course the data remains local, and that is a quite important feature for many customers. So there are advantages of running AI models at the edge. The NPU is the optimal way to run AI models, in this case in a meeting room.
So you touched upon a very important topic actually there, which is at the beginning of AI, people were naturally suspicious. They thought Terminators were going to rise up from somewhere and take out humanity. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen, and everybody's got used to the idea of AI. AI is omnipresent now in every working person's life, whether they consciously use it or subconsciously use it. It's in the background systems. People use it, like you say, with the large language models like ChatGPT and others. So with the privacy side of things, it's an important thing to remember that our world is all data, isn't it? When you think about it. So everything we do and everything we are in a digital sense is data. So the privacy is hugely important. And I think what Lenovo are doing with your AI integration really solidifies the privacy. I said I wouldn't say any S's because I hate the S's, don't I? But it does. It really solidifies the privacy element of that. And I think really when people begin to realize that Lenovo is the world's largest PC manufacturer, you have a lot of ecosystem out there, people consuming your products, people consuming your brand. So as you start to put AI out there, you're having to be a very responsible manufacturer in terms of what you do, and everybody has to be, in fairness. But I think when you lead the field, there's an additional requirement to be responsible in how you do that, and not just the fact that you're chucking AI features in there, which some people do just for fun. And obviously the work that you do closely with Microsoft, in particular with the Teams Room environment, and how to integrate the AI functionality from Copilot in the meeting room space, you can see really how you've tailored that to your solutions, and it works phenomenally well. I mean, it's one of the things that people just have to experience. It's not something we can talk about here and impress on them. But no, it's fantastic. I think, and if I'm not mistaken, this is brand new, announced today at Gitex, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's announced at the Gitex at the same time at Lenovo Tech World, that is the annual main event that our top management is organizing, and so it's a big announcement for us. Also because there are other features apart from the NPU and the local AI that are making this device really interesting. For example, there is, for the first time in our portfolio, a bring your own meeting dedicated port on this device, so that exactly as customers are doing with an Android-based system, you have a single USB-C cable that can be used to connect a laptop, not only to share content as in a usual MTR, but also to control from the touch console the triggering of the switch of the BYOM mode, so that you can run a Google Meet, let's say.
We don't say the G word and the Z word in here. Remember that.
You can use other UC provider.
Other UC providers, absolutely. No, actually, all joking aside, there are other very viable choices other than Microsoft Teams Rooms, but we talk about Teams Rooms in this space. It's a safe space for Teams Rooms. Actually, you make a very interesting point, because sometimes the distinction between the BYOD, which is the devices, and the BYOM, which is the meeting, is one of those aspects that people find very difficult to distinguish one from the other. So it's that point that I just explained. What does it mean for one to bring a meeting with them, essentially, or the meeting room interaction? This is something that we've been waiting for, really, haven't we, from the BYOD space? The ability to control the high-level functionality within the room, rather than just plug in a device on USB. It's a dumb device. It operates a camera. It launches a display using some basic protocol. But you don't get much more than that. Everything's native to your personal computing device. So actually, to then take the next step and jump to the BIOM is a really important step, actually, for meeting room integration and for the equity within that space, that we're providing that equity across the entire ecosystem platforms there.
Yeah, definitely. This solution I'm talking about is to combine the user experience of a Microsoft Teams Room with the freedom of BYOM solution, because we see lots of customers that definitely want the click-to-join experience of a Microsoft Teams Room and all the features in the Microsoft Teams Room application. But they say sometimes it happens once a month that I need to use that room for another UC provider. And so we want to provide that level of additional flexibility. If the customer is interested in a pure bring your own device approach, and we know that that's still the case for a significant number of rooms, Then we have a dedicated solution that is basically what we call our smart dock. So it's a docking station, but the docking station, first of all, is enhancing the user experience because you have a single cable on the table. The docking station has a special mounting kit so that it can be mounted under the surface of the table or on the wall. And then you have a cable retention mechanism, so nobody is accidentally removing cables. That is an important
This is interesting.
thing.
This is important because you haven't just taken a chassis and then just stuck a load of cables in the back and hoped that those cables stay in and no one pulls them out. You've designed specific cable retention elements into the chassis that you've built there in order to protect against what is, we all know, and have come to love if you ever supported a meeting room, one of the most common faults in a meeting room space, that somebody pulled a cable out of somewhere they shouldn't have and the room's no longer functional. So actually that's a really important part because the downtime that saves in any meeting room space quite often can't be measured unless you really do those feasibility studies and those analysis of your meeting room downtime. It's a difficult one to quantify for a lot of businesses unless they do that work. So I think you're preventing a lot of problems.
Yeah, we are talking about a docking station in a shared space, so it's essential cable retention, mounting. We provide in the box also longer cables because we are not talking about the user desk. We are talking about a significant large space. So we are adapting a smart dock. What does it mean, smart? Smart means that it's connected to the network, either with Ethernet or Wi-Fi, so that the IT administrator can access a console, we call it the Smart Docker console, where they can get the inventory of all the BYOD rooms, can see the status of those rooms, can query to know which peripherals are connected to the docking station, and can, that is probably the most important feature, can measure the utilization. Our is not an attempt to replace what Microsoft is providing with the Pro Management Portal. I would say it's complementary to it because with the Pro Management Portal, for sure you get the inventory as well, but then you can go very deep in the analysis of the traffic, the quality of the calls and this kind. But of course, only Teams calls. So if the BYOD rooms are used also for other UC providers, in our case, we are UC agnostic, and so we can really measure the utilization. Why utilization is important? Because if the IT administrator see that the utilization is growing and becomes significant, then it's the right time to enhance the user experience into a Microsoft Teams room and enjoy the click to join. So that is the utilization is the triggering point to switch to the following step that may be an entry-level Microsoft Teams room like our tiny kit. So the idea is that we are enhancing the user experience. At the same time, we are providing additional details that put together with what the Pro Management Portal is providing can provide a real exhaustive view of the utilization of the bring your own meeting rooms.
That's really good because you're not getting that from every single vendor out there, are you? In fact, there's few vendors that give you that complete overview. Now, isn't there, unless I'm very much mistaken, isn't there a little party trick that you guys have when it comes to power downs and power ups again?
Sorry, what?
Well, what I mean is that I think you're able to do something that others can't necessarily do, which is to power back up from entirely off.
In a BYOD room or in?
Oh, well, I'll let you answer that actually, whichever. You tell me. I think it is a little something that sets you apart from other people, isn't it? Where you're able to shut the device down, but you're still able to power back up, whereas others still need it to be in a permanent standby status?
Yeah, let's say in that case we move back to the Microsoft Teams room environment because what is really seen as a key differentiator of our offering is our remote management solution. That is the Lenovo ThinkSmart Manager. ThinkSmart Manager is using for anything that is remote access the Intel EMEA technology. So it's a well-established technology that allows the remote access to the system not only using an agent that is running on the operating system, but also communicating directly with the CPU, because the CPU in our offering are always vPro CPUs, and vPro means business grade in general, but means also remote manageability. Because on the CPU there is the Intel AMT application that allows remote access bypassing the operating system. So it happened sometime that the system was stuck without being able to access properly the operating system. Anytime you force a remote reboot of the system based on an agent running on the operating system, in that case the operating system is not accessible. You cannot do anything. In our case, we can still reboot remotely the system because we are bypassing the operating system and forcing the reboot from the CPU itself.
So you're embedded at the core, which allows you to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, we are not trying to replicate what the Pro Management Portal is offering in terms of remote access. We are providing something more. Actually, the remote access in our offering has been available since 3 years. So it's a well-established
So it's nothing new.
technology.
It's tried and tested. It's respected, and it's been put through its paces over time.
Yeah, and for example, we can access the BIOS because of that. Because we are talking directly with the CPU. Yeah. So little things that, however, make our customer, allow our customer to fix remotely a larger percentage of issues. Basically, the issues that you are not able to fix remotely with our ThinkSmart Manager are the issues related to the network, because there is no reachability of the device. But apart from that, let's say our solution is quite deep in terms of reachability.
Fantastic. Now, you touched upon networks. It's a conversation I'd love to go into with you, but I think we've reached the end of our time on this one, Mauro. That's an entirely different podcast in its own right? So, but look, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure, and it's always a learning experience meeting with you, talking with you. Thoroughly enjoyed every time. I always learn something every time. So thank you, Mauro, for attending our Microsoft Teams Rooms podcast room at Gitex 2024 at the Ingram Micro stand. What do you think? Good question. How's it look?
I think it's an amazing booth. As usual, Ingram is not saving money in showing the power. The power of Ingram. So I'm really proud to be here, and I want to thank you for your attention and patience.
No, absolutely, our pleasure. So thank you, Mauro, once again, and look forward to see what Lenovo has coming down the road.
For sure, interesting things.
Excellent.
Thanks
Can't
a
wait.
lot.